This is Sarah. She is 43 years old. She has 3 children. She works as a writer. She has never taken an illegal drug in her life. 4 minutes ago, a doctor injected a substance into her bloodstream. She described what happened next as being launched out of her body at the speed of light. She said colors were coming at her like blades. She said she was certain, completely, physically certain, that she was dying. She wasn't. But her brain didn't know that. We are talking about DMT. And this is not the story you've heard before. November 1852. A British botanist named Richard Spruce is 3 years into an expedition through the Amazon. He's there to study mosses. He is not looking for anything extraordinary. Then he watches an indigenous ceremony. The tribe calls the brew kapi. They have been drinking it for thousands of years, not recreationally, as medicine, as ritual, as a door. Spruce drinks it. He later writes that every white man who has tried it reports the same sequence. First cold, then heat, then fear, then courage, then visions so vivid and so foreign that no language he knows can hold them. He samples the vine, ships it back to England, files it as a botanical curiosity. He has no idea what he's actually found. 130 years later, science would identify the active compound, N,N-dimethyltryptamine, DMT, a molecule so structurally simple, a tryptamine backbone, 2 methyl groups, 1 nitrogen atom, that it looks almost primitive on paper. And yet it produces an experience that has caused Nobel Prize-winning scientists to question the architecture of human reality. Here is the part that changes everything. In the 1960s, DMT was found in mammals, rats, rabbits, then in human blood. In the 1970s, Nobel laureate Julius Axelrod found evidence that it is produced by the human body itself, not metabolized, not absorbed, made inside you, possibly right now. Scientists have found the enzymes required to produce DMT in the human cerebral cortex, the choroid plexus, the hippocampus, the brain's own learning and memory center. A 2019 study in Nature documented DMT levels doubling in the rat visual cortex during cardiac arrest. The most current hypothesis: your brain may release a surge of its own DMT in the moments of extreme physiological crisis. Possibly at the moment of death. Nobody fully knows why. That is not a rhetorical statement. That is the current state of science. Most drugs take time. Alcohol takes minutes to reach the bloodstream. A cannabis edible can take 2 hours to peak. DMT smoked or injected 60 seconds. In those 60 seconds, here is what happens inside the human brain. DMT floods across the blood-brain barrier, one of the most defended perimeters in the human body, and binds to serotonin 2A receptors. These receptors govern how sensitive your neurons are to incoming signals. When DMT occupies them, the brain's normal hierarchical structure begins to fail. Your prefrontal cortex, the executive center, the part of you that makes decisions, filters impulses, and maintains what you call you, loses regulatory control. Neuroscientist Christopher Timmerman calls what follows global hyperconnectivity. Every region of the brain starts communicating with every other region. Visual areas merge with emotional centers. Memory merges with imagination. The boundary between external reality and internal simulation, the line your brain spends every waking moment maintaining, dissolves. Some researchers call it anarchy. The brain stops filtering reality and starts generating its own. And in that state, some people meet God. Some meet something they cannot name. And some never fully come back. Across thousands of documented DMT reports, clinical trials, fieldwork, survey data, one pattern appears with a consistency that has genuinely unsettled researchers. People meet beings, not always the same beings, but the same category of encounter. Entities made of light, mechanical figures, presences that do not speak in language but somehow communicate directly. Beings that feel, in the user's own words again and again, more real than anything I've encountered in waking life. In a 2021 field study by Timmerman's team, nearly every participant reported an encounter with some form of sentient presence. In an online survey of over 2,500 users by Johns Hopkins University, 85% described the encounter as extrasensory or telepathic. Here is the scientific explanation. The brain has dedicated systems for social cognition, for reading intentions, modeling other minds, and understanding the emotional states of other beings. These systems are deeply embedded, evolutionarily ancient, and extraordinarily powerful. On DMT, those systems engage at a magnitude far beyond ordinary social interaction. They fire, in Timmerman's words, as if simulating a social relationship. Your brain produces a presence so complete, so detailed, so responsive, so other, that it cannot distinguish it from external reality. That is the rational explanation. It is also possible, and science has not ruled this out, that the rational explanation is incomplete. The entities behave consistently. They carry information users say they didn't have before. They appear in people who have never read a single account of a DMT trip, in cultures with no prior contact with each other, and they describe the same beings. We do not have a framework that fully accounts for that. This is where we have to stop talking about wonder. A 42-year-old man with no prior psychiatric history was brought to a Los Angeles emergency department by police. He was experiencing acute psychosis. He had used DMT repeatedly over the previous weeks. He was hospitalized for 3 weeks. He was treated with antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, and anti-anxiety medication. He recovered. He was one of the fortunate ones. A 60-year-old female military veteran treated for PTSD received IV DMT outside clinical protocols. She developed a fixed belief that parasites were living under her skin. That belief persisted for 8 months before she sought inpatient psychiatric care. A 2024 systematic review in the journal Psychological Medicine found 17 documented case reports of schizophrenia-spectrum disorders following psychedelic use, with conditions developing after a single use in 5 of those cases. Ayahuasca is a psychoactive brew made from plants native to the Amazon basin. It contains DMT, the same compound, and has been used in indigenous ceremonial contexts for centuries. In the last 2 decades, it moved west. In 2018, a 22-year-old man named Brandon Begley attended an ayahuasca ceremony at a Florida retreat called Soul Quest. He did not leave. In 2024, a Florida jury ordered Soul Quest to pay his family $15 million in a wrongful death verdict. The retreat had served ayahuasca to over 20,000 people. Its primary credential was a religious exemption it had spent years unsuccessfully seeking from the DEA. As of 2025, the U.S. Embassy in Peru has issued formal health alerts warning American citizens against ayahuasca retreats in the country following documented deaths, sexual assaults, and psychiatric crises, the vast majority occurring at unregulated facilities far from medical care. The global ayahuasca retreat industry has no unified regulatory framework. When you sign the waiver, you are signing away your only recourse. Here is what must be held at the same time. In controlled clinical settings, rigorously screened participants, trained therapists, full psychiatric support, real integration protocols, DMT is producing results that have no precedent in the history of pharmacological psychiatry. Sustained reduction in treatment-resistant depression after a single session. Significant decreases in PTSD symptom severity in combat veterans for whom every existing treatment has failed. Reductions in end-of-life anxiety in terminal patients who describe not just a reduction in fear but a fundamental reorganization of how they relate to death. These findings come from Johns Hopkins, Imperial College London, NYU, institutions with ethics boards, peer review, and accountability structures. The molecule is real. The effect is real. The potential is real. And the gap between that and an unscreened stranger paying $500 to drink a brew in a jungle clearing, supervised by a facilitator whose primary qualification is their own experience, is not a small gap. It is the distance between surgery performed in an operating theater and surgery performed in a field. The tool might be the same. The outcomes are not. We still don't know why the human body produces DMT. We still don't know what the entities are, whether they are the brain's own construction or something else, or whether that distinction means anything at the level of experience. We don't know how 50 milligrams of this molecule can reshape the architecture of a human self in 4 minutes. We don't know how to predict who it will break. We don't know with certainty what happens to human consciousness in the last seconds before death, and whether the molecule your brain may be releasing in those seconds has anything to do with what some people report coming back from. Richard Spruce shipped the vine back to England in 1852 and had no idea what he was looking at. Nearly 2 centuries of science later, we know it is among the most powerful compounds ever studied. We know it exists in some form within us. We know it can heal. We know it can destroy. We know the line between those two outcomes is not always visible in advance. And yet, every night while you sleep, your brain is quiet in ways we still don't fully understand. Your neurons are doing something. Your body is producing something. The molecule is there. We just don't know what it's for. We don't know if it's waiting. DMT is classified as a Schedule I substance in the United States. Clinical research continues under strict institutional oversight. If you or someone you know is experiencing lasting psychological effects following psychedelic use, contact a licensed mental health provider. Don't forget to subscribe for more content.